Welcome to Picks with the Professor, the show where a real statistics professor
and his cousin
gives you sports betting tips. I'm your host, Professor Sides. For the latest updates and information, you can find me on Twitter at Professor Sides, and you can find my cousin Jared on Twitter at Cousin Jared. This Major League Baseball episode is about Game 3 of the World Series, scheduled to be played on Monday, October 31st, 2022. Cousin Jared, we're not in costume. I guess it'll be Halloween when this game is happening. So what's your costume this year?
Man, what is my costume this year? Well, my daughter would say that the only costume that I have is like Batman, and it's not a very good costume. So always go to the Batman. I remember when I was young once I did Robin, but then I was like, Robin's sidekick. Who wants to deal with that? I'll just go Batman, the big fella. My daughter also told me that they got me my Batman birthday decorations today. So I think that was supposed to be a secret, but I know now.
There you go. I think during this game, if you were to be in the professor's household, you would see a lot of sharks because our daughter is into Baby Shark at this point. She's of that age. And so Mrs. Professor ordered Baby Shark costumes for everyone. So that's what we'll be rocking during Game 3 of the World Series instead of my Astros jersey. But in case you're new here, check out the webpage on the banner. If you're new here, you're like, what am I watching? www.pickstheprofessor.com/new. I'll give you a primer and explanation, especially it's important for money line plays. It works a little different than point spreads. Otherwise, the goals for this episode are to share key information about this game, give you some things to think on, and explain why certain plays are or not being made. I never recommend blindly tailing or fading any pick, but rather to hear the justifications and thought processes to make sure you're fully on board with us or against us before investing your hard-earned money. And as always, remember, there are no locks in gambling. So what I provide are loves, likes, and leans. It is A, B, and C grades to indicate my confidence level with respect to scaling wagers. However, please understand that good and bad variance will occur. So as much as I'd like to say we'll be profitable each and every day, that is an impossible reality for any gambler. I say that good and bad variance will occur. We talked about this all season. It's been a great season. We've profited a lot, especially the back half of the year. Continuing to profit in the playoffs. Got an A-grade winner in Game 2. I posted in the comments about that. Was unable to do a show. Had a little write-up about it on Twitter. Threw it on Patreon as well, just to make sure everyone saw it. But we've already seen bad variance twice in this World Series. With Game 1, a 5-0 lead, had a B-grade pick on the Astros, and that vanished. And bad variance in that ball in the 9th inning that Castellanos catches, if it's hit 1 mile an hour or less, it drops in for a base hit, and the Astros when we win that one. And then bad variance in Game 2 had the under 7, and that game was literally 1 out away from landing at 6 runs. Error on a very sure fielding first baseman, a very good, Gold Glove winning first baseman, makes an error, and we push the total. Thankfully, if you were with us on Patreon, the total of that time slot was the Phillies team total under 3.5. And so we still won that, but missed the game total. So even the bad variance nabbing us here in the playoffs. Maybe we'll get some good variance to finish us out for some good luck. But otherwise, no complaints from this side of the desk, at least in the playoffs.
No, the playoffs have gone really well. The only complaint I have about being at the World Series this time of year is that there's only one baseball series to make plays on. That is the most depressing thing. Is there's only one game each night. But other than that, the playoffs have been a lot of fun for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, before we get to this game, some reminders. Please hit that like button if you're on YouTube. Also, if you aren't yet, please consider subscribing or following. It's free, and if you turn on notifications, you won't miss any of the college basketball, MLB, or college football content that this channel provides. Again, we got that Patreon. If you're looking to get some extra benefits, membership starts at just $3 per month. Gets you the play of the day. Got a lot of those rolling out with college football, and they'll be coming with college basketball. Our friend Jake is, getting excited for that. Thankfully,
he's in his lair. He's in his lair, preparing and getting ready to give us a lot of knowledge over the coming weeks, I'm sure.
Yeah, and I feel like the whole in the lab thing is way overplayed, and it's just I want to say that because it's funny. That's not I don't mean that in a serious way, but I feel like our friend Jake is in the lab right now, cooking up the stuff. And again, I say that facetiously, but he does a lot of research on this. So we got all the college basketball stuff coming up soon, but we'll get to it here at Line courtesy of BetOnline. Sign up link in the show description and current as of the time of this recording, late Sunday night. And a reminder, the price you see on screen in parentheses is the money line price needed for those sides to reach a certain level play according to my model. sideline. As always, these games get rolling at 8:03 Eastern here in the World Series. Astros the Phillies, Game 3. It'll be Noah Syndergaard versus Lance McCullers Jr. You know, a pretty big pitching discrepancy for the Astros now in games 3 and 4. As good as Suarez looked over the back 2/3 of the season, he still had some rough starts, reminding you that he's a good, not great pitcher. A step below Javier, that'll be for game 4. And the same thing here. McCullers is a better pitcher than Syndergaard is. And so this is where the Astros have an advantage. This is why you heard a lot of the announcers talk about the Phillies really needing to win both games in Houston, which is surprising. Most of the time you just hope for a split, but really needing to win with those two guys on the hill. And I made the comment, I talked about it on Twitter, those first 2 games were such an interesting handicap because those 4 pitchers, I'm telling you, throw them in a hat and draw one out. They're all really good. And it turns out of those 4, I said they're all really good. Only one of them actually pitched great. And that's the one that I said everyone's like, doesn't think he's good, but he's just as good as the other guys. Right. It's not sexy because he doesn't throw 97, but my goodness, that curveball gets a lot of strikeouts. We'll see a drop off in the pitchers here in games 3 and 4, but McCullers has the potential to be as good as those 4 guys. Mm-hmm. He just also has the potential to get hit around. Syndergaard was once as good as those 4 guys. Confidently can say he's not now. The Phillies lacked confidence in Syndergaard to the point where against the Padres, they didn't even start him. They actually started a different character and then went to him in relief. So that tells you they don't have a lot of faith on him. The model doesn't dislike Syndergaard, actually gives him a 93 grade rating. McCullers gets an 83. So again, a solid Astros edge there. And of course, as we talked about, the Astros have an edge in the bullpen. As good as the Phillies bullpen did look in game 1, and they looked solid enough in game 2 as well, over the totality of the season, we have enough data that says the Astros bullpen is better. The Astros offense is better as well. Game in Philadelphia will help. That crowd will be rocking. The issue, of course, will be that the crowd can't win them the game single-handedly, but it will help. And it is a caution to be careful about playing too high of a price in the Astros. I think it's the biggest thing I want to impart here in my breakdown of this game is I think the Astros are more likely to win than not, but that doesn't mean I'm good with laying a number like minus 150 or something crazy on the Astros, right? We have to just be careful because winning on the road is not the easiest thing to do in the World Series. A slight chance of rain for this one could muck this one up a little bit. 15% chance early on, about 35% chance towards the end of the game. So hopefully that doesn't affect things too much. A slight breeze blowing out, low 60-degree temperatures. Sideline says 7.8 for the total. The actual total is 8. I'm going to be on the Astros at minus 131, but I'm only giving it a C grade. I just don't like the odds here. I don't think they're good enough for me to get that excited about. Sideline says it should be Astros minus 127. So we're paying a little bit of a premium here. Cousin Jared, I think the big question is, my model kind of likes Syndergaard and nobody else seems to. So if you look at my model and say there's no way that Syndergaard is a 93 grade pitcher, then maybe you take what Sideline says, Astros minus 127, you say really it should be Astros minus 130, minus 135, minus 140, and that's where you get a little more comfortable playing the Astros. What's your take on this one?
Yeah, so you kind of compared the starting pitchers there with Thor and McCullers. So what I would do is I would compare Thor to the other pitchers that the Astros have faced in the postseason. And I think that everybody that the Mariners threw out there against the Astros in the divisional series were better than Thor was. And okay, maybe Severino in game 2 against the Yankees, maybe Cortez in game 4 against the Yankees. You could say we're about even, but in my opinion, I think
they're better than Syndergaard as well.
Yeah, so I think Syndergaard is by far the worst pitchers that the Astros have faced all postseason, and I think that the Astros are going to win this game. Just
Taillon would be the only potential exception to that. The other guys, you said a lot of good pitchers the Astros have been facing.
Yeah, and I just at this point in his career, that is not what Syndergaard is anymore, and so I feel really confident about the Astros in this spot. It's not my thing. We've talked about it multiple times on the baseball show this season that I don't like the run lines necessarily, especially as a favorite. If you wanted to lay 1.5 runs with the Astros here at plus 129 odds right now, I don't think that would be the worst play in the world. But I'm just going to stick to the money line right now, minus 131 with the Astros. I feel good about them getting to Syndergaard. And I know you, viewer, might be easy to say that you got 2 Astros fans here that are both riding the Astros, but I would say that is not the fact at all, because in this situation, I could fade the Astros, and that's what we would call a win-win situation. Either I would win with my dollars or my team would win. So I am not below buying wins for my team, but I just don't know how you cannot look at this game, kind of give it a handicap based on what has happened through the totality of the season and not see that the Astros aren't the right side, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I've told the story enough times that I'm sure the viewers know this, but again, at Game 6 of the World Series last year, my official pick was Braves. So I mean, if I think it's the right side, I will pick against my team. We back to Mariners. I think in actually games 1 and 2 of the ALDS. It's just, I'm like you. I don't see it here. And like I said, my model is as high on Syndergaard as possible. So that I was really expecting to have a Phillies edge, just given how high it is on them. But the fact that there's no Phillies edge tells me I couldn't play them at the current price. The plus 120 is just not high enough, in my opinion, given the fact that how little you can tell that they don't trust him says a lot to me.
Right.
And like I said, that's where I think maybe sideline's a little bit low on this. You can make an argument that the Astros are actually a better investment. Again, if you don't think that, you'll go look at the Google sheet, right? Click that. The link's in the show description. Most of y'all have already been to it. There's a tab for starting pitchers. Go scroll through there and look at the pitchers around 93. And if you think Syndergaard's not nearly as good as those guys, then adjust that number of Astros minus 127 what the model says up to whatever you think, and that kind of gives you a new threshold. For me, my personal threshold, I want this to be in the minus 120s before I give it a B grade. That's just me personally. Sideline would minus 125, but I could be a little bit more aggressive than that just because, again, I think it's off a little bit. But minus 131 is just not quite there for me. So I'm going to stick to C grade for now. If it drops, though, I will add another unit to it in order to get it to that B grade. And Cousin Jared, you make an interesting point on the run line. I think that's something for the viewer to consider. The favorite on the run line, either team on the run line is better on the road. You like that more than the home team because you're going to get that ninth at bat for the favorite, which is helpful. If it does go extras, they have an incentive to get extra runs, whereas it's harder for home teams to win by more than a run. Right. The other thing to consider, maybe consider an alternate line if that's something that your book offers. An Astros minus 2.5, minus 3.5 at really big plus odds might be worth like a half a unit, because if the Astros offense gets to Syndergaard and it's not really a home run conducive night, it's not, with the temperature like that, it's not that I expect a ton of home runs, but if that offense at the top of the lineup gets going, or if maybe in the second inning or the third inning, the bottom of the lineup gets going and then rolls it into the top, and it's just line drive after line drive after line drive. If the Astros get up 5-0 in this game, that doesn't mean they can't come back off McCullers, but depending on where this game gets, knowing they've got 3 games in a row, the Phillies might decide to throw some of their weaker bullpen arms. And I don't want to say they're going to throw the game, but if Syndergaard doesn't have it, they know they're in trouble, because if he gets lit up in the second inning, what are they going to do? Right? They don't have enough good arms to throw all their good arms. And then with Suarez tomorrow, likely not going 8 innings or something, right? So it could be a situation where if a game gets out of hand, it might be this one, and you might see a massive Astros win if the offense gets to Syndergaard. So like I said, one of those alternate lines might make a little bit of sense. Don't put a lot on it, but a little bit of some of those crazy pi plus odds might be worth it.
Yeah, and kind of based on what you just said, unless you mentioned maybe like a 35% chance of rain towards the end of the game, unless we just know for sure that the weather is going to become a factor, I don't think I would play the under 8 here. I know that's a higher total than what we've seen the first couple of games of this series, and higher than most of the totals that you would see in the playoffs in general. But I don't think that I would just be jumping to play the under 8 there unless we know that the weather is going to have some effect. Because again, I just think that Syndergaard is, again, the worst pitcher that the Astros face this postseason. And if the Astros do get up big, the Phillies may just be throwing a guy out there to eat up some innings because they have to at this point.
Like I said, if he gets hit around in like the second inning, I don't know what they're going to do. They're going to, and they're not going to like their options, because if they start throwing all their good guys to try to piece it together, that's a scary proposition, because then if they lose that one, it puts them in a really tough spot for 4. They lose both 3 and 4. You don't want to be down 3-1, right? So you're in a tough spot there. So maybe they decide to pull Suarez into relief and then just say, we'll deal with game 4 when we get there, right? That's not off the table. They've already done something unconventional by using him in game 1 in relief. So who knows exactly what will happen. So just things to keep an eye on, especially with the weather. Check the Twitter. I will retweet good updates. I will update the model as well with any weather concerns. So again, just check that throughout the day, because the weather could impact this one. They will get 9 innings in. They're not going to call it short, but if it does get delayed, or if it just becomes a nasty, they just got to play through some nasty weather, that could affect things too. So keep an eye on the weather. It sounds like we both like the Astros here. Just a question of how high of a price we really want to play it. And or do you go to an alternate or one line or something like that based off of exactly what you think about Thor? So again, like I said, my suggestion is compare what you see in the pitcher ratings to other pitchers and just see how you feel about Thor's. I think really the way to handicap this game and see how you feel about it, viewer.
Yep.
All righty, Cousin Jared, any parting words for you here? Our last time we'll have you on for baseball season.
Don't know how that we got here, but we made it through all 162 games and the postseason. It's unbelievable, really.
It is. All right. Well, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Picks with the Professor. Don't forget to subscribe so you can share all the sports betting content we've run on this channel. Jump right into your feed. We'll see you again tomorrow with more World Series content. Of course, we got that college football Week 10 content here as well. Until we see you again, as always, best of luck. And remember, you can eat your betting money, but please don't bet your eating money.